"I'm too old for you," she whispered. The cowboy answered with one kiss. The sun had barely touched the horizon of Elysium outpost when Clara Vance wiped the sweat from her brow and surveyed her little workshop. The colony had grown over the past decade, but her corner of it remained as quiet and dusty as ever. Rusty tools, half-finished gadgets, and small robotic helpers scuttled about, cleaning, assembling, or just humming softly. Clara smiled. Even if the colony no longer needed her for heavy labor, she still had her hands and her mind, and that was enough. "You're talking to yourself again," said one of her smaller robots, a bright-eyed automaton named Tibby, its voice a cheerful chime. Clara laughed softly. "Better than talking to someone who ignores half of what I say." It wasn't entirely true. Most colonists respected her experience, but the whispers were always there, too old, too cautious, too set in her ways. Clara had grown used to it. At 73, she had built half the colony's infrastructure by hand, and she'd seen every type of machinery fail at least once. She knew her value, even if others sometimes forgot. She returned to calibrating an old atmospheric sensor when a sudden hum shook the ground. Not a tremor, not a quake, something deliberate. Clara froze. The colony had ships coming and going, but nothing this close. Tibby whirred nervously beside her. Clara pushed open the workshop door. Dust rose in lazy swirls as she stepped outside. Across the dry, reddish plains, a ship had crash-landed. Its hull smoked faintly, and sparks danced along its side. Clara squinted. The ship was unlike anything she had seen before, not the usual cargo haulers or mining vessels. Its design was sleek, with curved lines and panels that seemed to glow faintly. She felt a flutter in her chest, a mixture of fear, curiosity, and excitement. Without thinking twice, she grabbed a toolkit and set off across the plain. Tibby followed, rolling along with cheerful clicks. As she neared the wreck, movement caught her eye. A figure was emerging from the smoke. A man, tall, rugged, and carrying the kind of calm confidence that only comes from years of surviving harsh worlds. His hat was tipped slightly back, shadowing sharp eyes that scanned the crash site. His coat, long and worn, fluttered in the dry wind. He noticed her and raised a hand in greeting. "Need a hand," he called, voice deep and steady. Clara hesitated. I might be able to help you first," she replied cautiously, keeping her distance. The man smiled faintly. "Fair enough. Name S. Jace Riker." Clara nodded, brushing dust off her coat. "Clara Vance, and I suppose this is why the colony's alarms aren't screaming yet." He chuckled, a low sound that seemed to blend with the wind. "Not much left to scream about, ma'am. Ship S done for, but I'm okay. Mostly." Clara studied him carefully. Despite his casual tone, there was skill in every movement. She could see it, the way he tested the ground for stability, the way his eyes scanned the horizon while checking the ship. This was a man used to danger, though he didn't carry fear on his face. "Follow me," she said after a moment. "We'll get somewhere safe before we look at your ship." They walked side by side, Clara's pace steady but not hurried. Tibby rolled beside them, its lights flickering nervously. "You're not from around here," Clara observed. "No," Jace admitted. "Not exactly. I've been all over the rim chasing whatever comes my way." Clara tilted her head. "Rim's dangerous. Many don't last a week out there." "I last," he said simply. His eyes met hers, and for a moment Clara noticed the kind of respect that wasn't spoken aloud. It was earned. They reached her small, sturdy home on the edge of the colony. Clara ushered him inside, and Tibby immediately began assessing the situation, moving from corner to corner with methodical beeps. Clara gestured to a chair. "Sit. I'll check you for injuries." Jace complied, relaxed but alert. Clara began examining his arms, shoulders, and back. Nothing seemed broken, just bruises and scratches that time and wind would heal. "You're lucky," she said softly. "Maybe," he said. Then quieter, almost to himself, "or maybe it's just humans being stubborn." Clara paused. The word humans hung in the air. There was admiration in his voice, something she rarely heard these days. "You think humans are stubborn?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Not think," he corrected. "No, I've seen species that can outsmart us, outbuild us, even outrun us, but nothing outlasts humans. Nothing adapts like we do. I've been out there, Clara. I've seen civilizations fall, technology crumble, and yet here we are, still standing." Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest. Not pride exactly, but recognition. Someone noticed what she had always believed: human resilience. As she tended to his scratches, a small mechanical word drew her attention. Tibby had found something on Jace's ship, a tiny control panel flickering with unknown signals. "What is it?" Clara asked, peering at it. Jace glanced over. "Alien tech," he said simply. "I don't know much, but it's not from any registry I've seen. Could be valuable, could be dangerous." Clara nodded slowly. Her mind, sharp despite her age, was already working through possibilities. Alien tech meant opportunity. It meant a puzzle. It meant a challenge she couldn't resist. "I might be able to help you," she said carefully. "I can get it working, figure out what it wants." He looked at her, eyes narrowing in thought. Then a small smile played on his lips. "I thought you were too old for excitement," Clara chuckled, brushing back her gray hair. "Excitement has no age, curiosity does." There was a silence then, a gentle pause filled with understanding. Jace leaned forward slightly, as if to show respect. Then, almost in slow motion, he took her hand and pressed a light, respectful kiss to it. Not romantic, not possessive, a gesture of trust. Clara's eyes widened, and for a moment words failed her. Then she whispered, almost embarrassed, "I'm too old for you." Jace only smiled again. "No one is ever too old for a little adventure," he said softly. The quiet was broken by a faint hum, a mechanical sound unlike anything they had heard before. Clara's heart leapt. Tibby whirred in alarm. Clara and Jace exchanged a glance. The ship's panel was pulsing now, a soft, rhythmic signal. It was alive, not just broken metal, not just a wreck. Something was waiting, watching. "We should see what it is," Clara said, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. Jace nodded. "Agreed." "And Clara, I have a feeling you're exactly the person I want on this ride." Clara laughed softly. She had spent years believing her usefulness was fading. Now, with a stranger who saw value in experience, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: alive. The sun dipped lower, painting the dusty plains in orange and gold. The colony seemed quiet, but somewhere in the smoke of the wrecked ship, a presence stirred. And Clara Vance, engineer, problem solver, stubborn human, was about to step into a challenge that would remind her, and everyone around her, why humanity could never be underestimated. Tibby beeped, lights flickering nervously as the first pulse of the alien signal reached them, humming through the quiet air. Clara took a deep breath. Adventure had found her again. And she was ready. The hum of the alien signal had not stopped since Clara and Jace had first detected it on the small panel in the wrecked ship. It was rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat, pulsing through the quiet air of Elysium outpost. Clara crouched beside the control panel, her fingers brushing the smooth surface as she tried to understand its pattern. "This isn't like anything human-made," Jace said, leaning over her shoulder. His eyes scanned the glowing symbols on the panel. Could be communication. Could be a warning, could be something else. Clara nodded, frowning. "It's clever. Whoever, or whatever, made this new humans could interact with technology, but they didn't make it easy. There's a logic here, but it's not ours." Tibby rolled forward, its sensors blinking rapidly. Analysis incomplete, signal unusual, pattern inconsistent with any known technology. "Unusual is good," Clara muttered, more to herself than anyone else. She loved puzzles. She loved challenges. And this was something entirely new. Jace watched her, impressed. "You know, most people your age would just call this trouble and run." Clara's lips curved in a small smile. "And miss the chance to prove humans can solve anything. Not a chance." They spent hours examining the panel, cross-referencing it with old databases Clara kept for retired technology. Slowly, the patterns began to make sense. Not fully, far from it, but enough to understand that the signal was pointing toward something nearby. Something in the asteroid belt that floated beyond the colony's usual survey zone. I think it's a location, Clara said finally, her finger tracing a line on the panel. It wants us to find it. Jace whistled softly. Typical alien trick. Hide your treasure in a place no one would ever check, Clara chuckled. Or test our curiosity. Humans are predictable that way. The sun sank lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Clara finally leaned back, rubbing her tired hands. We can't go tonight. Too dangerous. Jace nodded, understanding. Agreed, but we go at first light. We can't ignore this. Later that evening, word of the crashed ship had spread. A small group of settlers arrived at Clara's home, curious about the newcomer and the strange signal. Clara's neighbors, who often whispered about her being too old to contribute much, now looked at her with a mixture of awe and caution. Clara, is it true? You're going to investigate an alien signal? Asked a young man named Evan, who had always admired her engineering skills. Yes, Clara said simply, and yes, I'm capable. Age doesn't mean useless. The settlers murmured among themselves, some impressed, some skeptical. Jace, standing nearby, gave a shrug that said plainly, let them talk. We have work to do. That night Clara couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with possibilities. Alien technology could revolutionize the colony, or it could be dangerous beyond imagining. She thought of the warnings she had received in her lifetime, the things that could go wrong, and yet, the thrill of discovery overpowered her caution. At dawn, Clara, Jace, and a small crew of volunteers prepared for the journey to the asteroid belt. Supplies were packed, small drones were loaded for scouting, and Tibby whirred with excitement. Clara had modified a small shuttle she had kept for emergencies, adding extra sensors and a reinforced hull. Jace helped with the navigation system, combining her technical expertise with his intuitive understanding of space travel. As the shuttle lifted off, Clara felt a familiar hum of excitement. The colony fell away beneath them, tiny and fragile in the vast expanse of the stars. The asteroid belt awaited, silent and mysterious. The journey was long and careful. Clara and Jace worked side by side, analyzing the signals and navigating through the dense field of floating rocks. The signal grew stronger, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Do you feel that? Jace asked, glancing at the readouts. It's like it knows we're coming, Clara nodded. It's not conscious, not exactly, but it's responsive, adaptive. That's what makes it dangerous and brilliant. As they neared the source of the signal, the asteroid belt opened up into a small cluster of unusually shaped rocks. One, larger than the others, seemed to float with purpose, as if deliberately positioned. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the light of the distant sun. That's it, Clara said, awe in her voice. That's where the signal comes from. Jace landed the shuttle on a relatively flat surface, the engines humming softly. They stepped out, Tibby rolling ahead to scan the area. The asteroid was strange, its surface covered in panels that glowed faintly with the same rhythmic pulse they had followed. Clara approached, her hands hovering over the alien technology. It's not hostile, at least not yet, but it's waiting for interaction. Jace crouched beside her. You think it wants us to touch it? Not touch, Clara corrected. Understand, communicate, that's the difference. You don't force a puzzle open, you solve it. Hours passed. Clara and Jace worked carefully, analyzing patterns, pressing panels in sequence, and observing the responses. The alien signal seemed to test them, offering hints when they were on the right track, hiding information when they faltered. You see that, Clara said, pointing to a section of the panel that had just lit up. It's giving us coordinates. Something is hidden inside the asteroid. Jace's eyes widened. You mean a chamber, inside the rock itself? Clara nodded. Exactly, And judging by the construction, whoever built this didn't expect anyone to find it quickly, but humans were persistent. With careful precision, they discovered a small hatch embedded in the asteroid. It was sealed, but not locked in a way Clara couldn't understand. She studied the mechanisms, her experience guiding her hands. Slowly, carefully, she manipulated the panels, listening to the subtle clicks and whirs that indicated success. Finally, the hatch opened, revealing a dimly lit chamber inside. The walls were covered with symbols and panels that pulsed with the same rhythmic signal. At the center, a small device hovered, glowing faintly. Clara stepped forward, awe in her eyes. This is incredible. The technology, it's unlike anything we've seen before." Jace nodded, equally amazed. "And it's ours to understand. Carefully, of course." They spent hours inside the chamber, mapping the alien technology, recording data and testing responses. The device seemed to react to thought patterns, gestures, and even voice commands, but only when precise and deliberate. Clara realized that the aliens had built something to challenge intelligence, curiosity, and patience. "This isn't just technology," Clara said finally, turning to Jace. "It's a test. Whoever made this, they wanted to see if we could think like them, if we could adapt." Jace smiled faintly. "Well, I'd say we're passing." As they prepared to leave the asteroid, the device pulsed one last time, projecting a holographic map of the surrounding sector. Clara studied it, recognizing star systems that could be valuable to the colony. The possibilities were endless: new trade routes, resources, knowledge. Humanity could reach further than ever before. "Imagine what this could mean for the colony," Clara whispered, awe in her voice. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. "Imagine what it says about humans. We adapt, we endure, we find solutions when nothing else works. That's why we survive. That's why we're remarkable." Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had spent years believing she was too old, too cautious, too ordinary. But here she was, standing beside someone who saw her value, guiding a discovery that could change humanity's future. The journey back to Elysium Outpost was filled with a sense of triumph. They hadn't just survived, they had discovered something extraordinary. And they had done it together, combining experience, courage, and cleverness in a way that no machine or alien challenge could overcome. When they landed, the colony's residents gathered to hear about the discovery. Clara and Jace presented the data carefully, showing the alien chamber, the device, and the holographic map. The settlers were amazed, whispering among themselves about what this could mean. Clara caught Jace's eye and smiled. "I guess I'm not too old after all." "You never were," Jace replied softly, his hand brushing hers in a silent acknowledgement. That night, as Clara lay in her bed, she thought about the asteroid, the device, and the alien signal. It had been a test, yes, but more importantly, it had reminded her of something she had nearly forgotten. Humans were remarkable not because of strength or youth, but because of curiosity, ingenuity, and the will to explore the unknown. And she was proud to be a part of it. The alien device hummed quietly in the heart of the colony. Clara had managed to transport it carefully, keeping it contained in her workshop while she and Jace studied it. The settlers watched from a distance, curiosity and awe sparkling in their eyes. No one fully understood it yet, but everyone could sense the possibilities and the danger. Clara paced around the device, fingers brushing over its smooth, glowing surface. Tibby whirred nearby, scanning for irregularities. "The device is reactive," Clara explained to the small crowd that had gathered. "It doesn't just exist. It observes, adapts, and tests whoever interacts with it." Jace leaned against a workbench, arms crossed. "So basically it's smart, smarter than us," Clara shook her head. "Not smarter, different, it thinks differently. And thinking differently doesn't mean better or worse. It just means we need to adapt." The settlers murmured among themselves. Some were excited, others nervous. Clara noticed the worry on a few faces. She understood it. Humans feared what they didn't understand, and the device was completely foreign. "Don't worry," she said firmly. "We will figure it out. Humans have always adapted. We don't fight blindly, we think. We improvise. That's why we survive where others fail." Jace smiled faintly. "And that's why I brought you here, Clara. I knew you'd see it the right way." For the next several days, Clara and Jace worked tirelessly, testing the device. Every time they tried to access it, it responded differently. Panels lit up, symbols shifted, and small robotic arms emerged from hidden compartments, rearranging components as if the device were alive. At first, some settlers tried to help, but the device reacted unpredictably to their actions. Clara realized it wasn't trying to harm anyone. It was simply testing intelligence, patience, and collaboration. "We need to approach this like a team," she explained to Jace. "Humans have something machines never will: intuition, creativity, empathy. That's what it responds to, even if it doesn't understand those concepts." Jace nodded. "All right, let's show it what humans are made of." Clara divided tasks carefully. Each settler was given a role matching their skills. Engineers checked structural responses. Data analysts observed patterns in the device's reactions. Scouts monitored the perimeter, ensuring no damage occurred if anything went wrong. Even the youngest apprentices, under Clara's supervision, were involved, testing minor inputs while learning from the device's responses. The colony buzzed with purpose. What had once been a sleepy outpost became a hive of human ingenuity, each person contributing in their way. Clara watched with pride. The device wasn't just a challenge, it was bringing the colony together, showing the settlers that humans were capable of solving problems no machine could predict. Hours turned into days. The device reacted to their teamwork, opening new panels, displaying intricate symbols, and emitting pulsing lights that seemed almost like applause. Clara and Jace documented everything carefully. "This is incredible," Clara whispered one evening. "It's learning from us, adjusting to us, but not in a hostile way. It's participating." Jace grinned. "Participating in what? Our awesomeness." Clara laughed softly. "In human ingenuity, that's what." One morning, as they tested a sequence of patterns, the device suddenly activated a series of mechanical arms. They moved with precision, rearranging parts of the chamber that had remained static for days. The settlers watched in awe as the device built a small framework, seemingly following instructions no one had given it. "It's creating something," Clara said, excitement in her voice. "But what?" Jace stepped closer, examining the structure. "Maybe it wants to teach us. Maybe it's a tool, a guide. We have to figure out how to use it safely." Clara nodded. "Exactly, and we will. Humans have always turned challenges into opportunities." The next challenge came unexpectedly. A small swarm of the device's drones emerged from hidden compartments, hovering in a synchronized pattern. The settlers froze, unsure what to do. Clara's heart raced, but she stayed calm. "Listen," she said firmly. "They're not attacking, they're observing. Let's show them we can think, plan, and adapt. That's what they respond to." Jace gave a thumbs up. "And we can do it." Clara quickly organized a small team to interact with the drones. Using mirrors, lights, and carefully designed patterns on the floor, they created a sequence that demonstrated human logic and creativity. The drones reacted immediately, forming new patterns in the air, mirroring the humans' designs, almost as if acknowledging the demonstration. "This is incredible," Jace breathed. "It's like it understands our reasoning even if it can't feel it." Clara smiled. "Exactly, and that's the beauty of humans. Machines can mimic, replicate, even predict, but humans innovate. We create solutions where none seem possible. We improvise. That's why we survive, thrive, and inspire." Days passed, and the settlers became more confident. They learned to anticipate the device's reactions, using creativity and teamwork to solve challenges it presented. The colony grew stronger, more united, and more skilled. Even those who had doubted Clara's abilities began to respect her leadership. One afternoon, while examining a new section of the device, Clara noticed a small drone hovering dangerously close to the edge of a platform. It seemed stuck, unable to follow the new sequence of patterns. Without hesitation, she stepped forward, using her tools and quick thinking to guide the drone back into formation. Jace watched, impressed. That's human ingenuity right there. Calm, precise, clever. Not brute force, not luck, pure thought, Clara laughed softly. We may not be the fastest or strongest, but we can solve problems, and machines, they can't do that without us. As the sun set, the colony gathered around the device, watching it respond to the humans' coordinated efforts. Lights pulsed in harmony with the settlers' movements. Symbols shifted in patterns that were almost musical. For the first time, the device seemed satisfied. Clara looked at Jace. It's responding to collaboration, patience, and creativity. Everything humans are best at. This is a lesson for all of us. Jace nodded. And a reminder that humans are remarkable, even when we doubt ourselves. That evening, Clara and Jace stood outside, watching the stars above the colony. The alien device hummed quietly inside, a silent witness to the ingenuity and resilience of humans. You know, Jace said softly, I've met a lot of people in my travels. Brave people, clever people. But few have the combination of patience, skill, and daring you have, Clara. Clara shook her head, smiling faintly. I'm just experienced, that's all. Jace's eyes softened. Experience is valuable, especially when paired with curiosity. Humans have always survived, not because we're the strongest, but because we can think, adapt, innovate. That's why the galaxy doesn't scare us. Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had spent so many years believing she was too old, too cautious, too ordinary. But here she was, standing beside someone who recognized her worth, guiding the colony through a challenge that tested their intelligence, creativity, and humanity itself. As night fell over Elysium Outpost, the alien device glowed softly inside Clara's workshop, a silent testament to human ingenuity. It had tested them, challenged them, and in the end, it had learned what humans were capable of. And Clara, for the first time in years, felt truly alive, because humans didn't just survive. Humans thrived. And the colony, this small outpost on the edge of the stars, was about to see just how extraordinary they could be. The alien device had become the heart of Elysium Outpost. Its soft, pulsing lights and shifting patterns were no longer just a puzzle, they were a doorway. Clara and Jace had spent weeks studying it, learning its rhythm, predicting its responses, and teaching the colony to interact with it safely. But they both knew that what lay ahead could be even greater and far more mysterious. One morning, as the first sun rays touched the red plains, Clara examined the device's latest projection. A holographic map had appeared overnight, illuminating a cluster of distant star systems. At the center of the map was a location marked with symbols they had never seen before, a place clearly tied to the origin of the device. This isn't just a test anymore, Clara said, voice tight with excitement. It's a guide. Whoever built this left us instructions or maybe a message. We have to follow it. Jace, standing beside her, studied the hologram. And that means traveling farther than any of the colony's ships have gone, into uncharted space. Clara nodded. Exactly, and it's dangerous, but it's also an opportunity we can't ignore. The colony council gathered that evening. Clara and Jace presented their findings, showing the map, the alien symbols, and the projections of the device. The settlers listened, wide-eyed, while some council members frowned, worried about the risks. You want us to travel beyond our survey zone into unknown space based on a machine we barely understand? One council member asked skeptically. Clara met his gaze steadily. Yes, and I know we can do it. The device has been testing us, teaching us. We've already proven humans can solve challenges no machine could predict. This is the next step, Jace added, We'll go carefully with preparation and planning. We're not reckless. We just believe in what humans can do." After hours of discussion, the council reluctantly agreed. A small team would accompany Clara and Jace, a few skilled engineers, scouts, and data analysts. The colony prepared supplies, equipment, and protective gear. Even Tibby received modifications to handle deep space conditions. When the shuttle lifted off, the entire colony watched in silence. Clara felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. They were venturing into the unknown, carrying the hopes of the colony, and in a way of humanity itself. The journey was tense but controlled. Clara and Jace navigated through asteroid fields and uncharted debris, using both experience and intuition. The alien map guided them, each jump bringing them closer to the coordinates projected by the device. After days in space, they arrived at a strange formation, an enormous structure orbiting a dead star. Unlike anything human-made, it shimmered faintly, panels and spires reflecting the distant light. It seemed abandoned but purposeful, a relic of intelligence far beyond human comprehension. This is incredible," Clara whispered. "An entire archive." Whoever built this wanted to preserve knowledge, but why here? Jay studied the structure carefully. Maybe it's a safe place, away from others, hidden, protected, and maybe it's waiting for us. The shuttle approached cautiously. Clara guided it to a landing area on a flat surface near the center of the structure. Tibby rolled ahead, scanning for hazards. The surface was stable, though strange panels occasionally shifted, responding to their presence. Inside the archive, the walls were covered with symbols and glowing pathways. The air was still, filled with the hum of dormant energy. Clara and Jace moved carefully, exploring, documenting, and observing. Every panel seemed connected, forming a network of knowledge. "It's a library," Clara said finally. "But not books, data, technology, history, everything this civilization thought important." Jace nodded, eyes wide. "And it's ours to understand if we can figure out the language, the logic, the connections." They began working systematically. Clara focused on patterns and mechanisms, while Jace handled navigation and interaction. Slowly, they unlocked pathways, revealing more chambers, each containing devices, holographic archives, and tools of alien design. The settlers, though nervous, followed instructions carefully, assisting without interfering. Together, the team moved through the archive, piecing together knowledge bit by bit. Hours turned into days. Clara marveled at the ingenuity embedded in every device, every panel. Some responded to thought patterns, others to gestures, and a few even to spoken commands. They were learning from the humans as much as humans were learning from them. One day, Clara discovered a chamber at the heart of the archive. The walls pulsed with light, symbols shifting in complex sequences. At the center hovered a spherical device, much larger and more intricate than the one they had brought from the asteroid. "This is the core," Clara said softly. "The main archive. Whatever knowledge exists here, it's inside this." Jace examined it closely. "It's almost alive, responding to presence, attention, movement, but it's not dangerous. Not yet," Clara nodded. "We have to be careful. One wrong move, and we could trigger something we don't understand." As they worked, they began unlocking parts of the archive. Holographic screens displayed star maps, technological schematics, and cultural records of the civilization that had built it. Clara realized the implications. Humanity could leap forward by decades, even centuries, in understanding technology, space navigation, and energy systems. But with discovery came responsibility. Some sections contained instructions for advanced technologies that, if misused, could cause harm. Clara and Jace knew they had to proceed carefully, ensuring that knowledge was applied wisely and safely. One evening, as they rested, Jace looked at Clara. "You've always believed humans are remarkable, but seeing this and watching the team work together, it's more than that. Humans aren't just remarkable, We're unstoppable when we use our minds. Clara smiled, exhaustion in her eyes. Yes, and we've learned that together. Age doesn't matter, experience matters, courage matters, curiosity matters, everything that makes humans human. Suddenly, a soft pulse filled the chamber, stronger than anything before. The spherical device at the core glowed brighter, projecting new symbols across the walls. Clara and Jace stepped closer, recognizing the pattern. It was a test. The archive wasn't just a storage of knowledge. It was assessing them, determining if humans were worthy of the information it contained. "We're being tested again," Clara said, voice steady. "But not like before. This is different. We have to show collaboration, insight, and adaptability." The team moved quickly but carefully. Using the knowledge they had gathered, they coordinated their actions, activating panels in sequence, responding to holographic prompts, and solving puzzles that required logic and creativity. The archive responded in kind, opening new chambers, revealing more intricate systems. Hours passed. The team worked tirelessly, combining human intuition, experience, and teamwork. The archive pulsed with approval, its lights and symbols reflecting their success. Finally, the core glowed steadily, the testing complete. The archive projected a final hologram, a message of understanding, a record of the civilization's achievements and instructions for applying the knowledge safely. Clara and Jace exchanged a look of awe and relief. "We did it," Clara whispered. "The archive recognizes us. It trusts humans." Jace smiled, admiration in his eyes. "And it should. Humans can think, adapt, and create. That's why we survive. That's why we thrive. That's why we're remarkable." Clara felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Not just for herself, but for the colony, for humanity. They had crossed the edge of the unknown, faced a challenge far beyond anything they had imagined, and had proven that human ingenuity, collaboration, and courage could unlock even the most advanced alien technology. As they prepared to return to Elysium Outpost, Clara reflected on the journey. They had learned so much, not just about the aliens, but about themselves. Humans were capable of anything when they worked together, combined experience with creativity, and approached challenges with patience and curiosity. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the archive behind but carrying the knowledge they had gained. Clara and Jace looked at each other, smiling. The stars stretched out before them, full of possibilities, full of challenges, and full of adventures waiting to be discovered. And for the first time in years, Clara truly believed that humanity's best days were not behind them. They were only just beginning. The shuttle carried Clara, Jace, and the colony team back toward Elysium Outpost. Inside, the air hummed with quiet excitement. The alien archive's knowledge was vast, far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. Maps of distant star systems, advanced engineering concepts, and energy technologies flickered across the holographic displays. Clara studied them, her mind racing. "We have to apply this carefully," she said. "Knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous, but we have the chance to make the colony stronger, safer, and smarter." Jace nodded. "And we'll do it together. Humans have a habit of rising to the challenge when it matters most." The journey home was smooth but filled with anticipation. Every team member felt the weight of responsibility. They weren't just bringing back information, they were bringing the promise of the future. When the shuttle landed, the colony gathered. Everyone stared at the newcomers, at the glowing panels and devices, and at Clara and Jace, who emerged looking tired but triumphant. Whispers spread quickly. "They brought back knowledge. They've succeeded." Clara stepped forward, raising her hands for calm. "Everyone," she began, "what we've found is remarkable. It's more than technology, it's a lesson. A reminder of what humans can do when we combine experience, creativity, and courage. This archive has tested us, and we've proven ourselves." The settlers cheered softly, eyes wide with admiration. Some still doubted her in private, but now it was clear. Clara's age and experience were strengths, not weaknesses. Jace stepped beside her. We've unlocked tools and ideas that can help the colony grow, explore, and thrive. But we must use them wisely. Curiosity is our guide. Patience and teamwork are our strength. And humans are capable of more than any machine or alien challenge can imagine. The next days were filled with activity. Clara and the engineers integrated what they could safely use from the archive. Energy systems became more efficient, water recycling improved, and agricultural methods advanced. Small drones, inspired by the alien design, helped build infrastructure more quickly and safely than before. But the most remarkable change was in the people themselves. The colony buzzed with confidence. Children watched demonstrations, learning about problem-solving and teamwork. Young engineers, inspired by Clara and Jace, began designing their own innovations. Even the most skeptical settlers now appreciated the power of human ingenuity, guided by experience and curiosity. Clara worked long hours, but she never felt tired in the same way. There was a sense of purpose and pride that had been missing for years. She moved through workshops, offering guidance, answering questions, and occasionally sharing a quiet laugh with Jace. One evening, after a particularly long day, Clara stepped outside to watch the red sun set over the dusty plains. The glow of the colony spread like a constellation on the ground, each building, and light a testament to what humans could accomplish when they worked together. Jace joined her, leaning on the railing beside her. "You've done more than anyone could imagine," he said softly. Clara shook her head, smiling faintly. "We've done it together, it's not just me. Humans, we rise when we need to, that's the truth of it. Age, youth, experience, it all matters, but what matters most is what we do with it." Jace glanced at her, a soft warmth in his eyes. "And you've reminded me of that. I've traveled far and seen much, but what you've shown, that's the real power of humans." Clara laughed softly, remembering their first meeting when she had whispered, "I'm too old for you." "You know," Jace said with a grin, "I think you'll always be just the right age for whatever comes next." Clara shook her head, smiling. "Perhaps. But what matters is what comes after us. The colony, the children, the future. Humans have to keep moving forward. That's what survival means." Over the next weeks, the colony implemented more of the archive's discoveries. A new starship design, based on alien principles but adapted to human ingenuity, was constructed. Plans were made for exploration missions beyond their sector. Agriculture flourished with new energy-efficient systems. Even entertainment and education improved, as holographic simulations allowed children to learn about engineering, physics, and problem-solving through interactive experiences. Yet, the most profound change wasn't technology. It was the belief in humanity itself. People who had once doubted their potential now saw that intelligence, creativity, courage, and cooperation could overcome any challenge. They learned that experience and age were as valuable as strength and speed, and that curiosity was one of the most powerful tools of all. One afternoon, Clara and Jace walked through the central square, where children played with small drones modeled after the alien designs. The devices moved carefully among the children, responding to gentle commands and creating small puzzles for them to solve. Laughter filled the air, a sound that warmed Clara's heart. "These children," she said softly, "they'll grow up knowing that humans are clever, capable, and resilient. They won't doubt what they can do." Jace nodded. "And that's why we succeeded. Not just because of the archive or the technology, but because humans never give up. We adapt, we innovate, we inspire." Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara returned to her workshop. Tibby rolled alongside her, beeping happily. The alien device glowed softly, a reminder of the challenge they had faced and the knowledge they had earned. Clara paused, hand resting on the smooth surface. "We've learned so much," she whispered. "But there's always more, more to explore, more to understand. And humans will keep going, always." Jace entered quietly, watching her for a moment before speaking. You know, Clara, that first kiss, the one I gave when we met, it wasn't about romance. It was a promise. A promise that humans can always rise to challenges, no matter the odds. Clara smiled, remembering. I think I understand that now. It's more than trust, it's recognition. Humans are capable of extraordinary things even when they doubt themselves. Jace nodded. Exactly. And the colony, they've seen it. The archive has seen it. And so have we. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, the same as they had when they first discovered the asteroid and the alien device. But now, Clara saw them differently. Not as empty, cold points of light, but as opportunities, challenges, and destinations waiting for humans to explore. The colony celebrated that night, not just for the knowledge they had gained, but for what it represented: human ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. Stories were shared, achievements were praised, and children dreamed of the stars. Clara and Jace stood together, watching the celebrations from a small hill overlooking the settlement. Clara felt a sense of pride deeper than any she had known. Humans had faced a challenge unlike any other, had adapted, solved, and thrived. They had proven that ingenuity, collaboration, and courage were humanity's greatest strengths. You were right, Clara said softly, looking at Jace. Humans were remarkable. Jace smiled, tilting his hat back slightly. I never doubted it, and now the galaxy will see it too. As night fell, the soft glow of the colony and the stars above created a quiet harmony. The alien device pulsed one last time, as if acknowledging the humans who had solved its tests. Clara realized that this was more than victory. It was a lesson, a promise, and a foundation for the future. Humans had crossed the edge of the unknown, faced tests beyond imagination, and emerged stronger, wiser, and united. And for Clara, Jace, and everyone in Elysium Outpost, the adventure was only beginning. Because humans didn't just survive challenges, they mastered them. And the stars, vast and endless, were waiting.